What's up, Pats Nation? Michael Lakis here. You probably don't know who I am, nor do you know who anybody else on the screen is, but hopefully soon enough you get to know us. We are the host of the Patriots Tailgate Party Podcast. Say that 4 times fast, right? Yep. Patriots Tailgate Party Podcast, and we're coming to you live today, kicking off what's going to happen, or what happened, what we saw happen in week 1, what hopefully is going to, we hope is going to happen as fans in week 2. And this podcast, a little bit different than maybe other Patriots podcasts that you've seen out there, where you have experts. I, by no means, would call myself an expert. I can't speak for these other guys, but I'll let them speak here in just a minute. But this is really where we want all Pats fans to come to discuss, debate, and hopefully celebrate the success of your New England Patriots. So, again, Michael Lakis, you also probably hear my accent and go, that guy is definitely not from New England. Long story there. We'll get into that as we get in to get to know us better and learn a little bit about the show. But before we do that, let me kick it over to my co-host, my brother, who, yeah, he looks like me, and he looks like a lot like the guy below me. We'll talk about that in a second too. But Andrew Lakis, how you doing today?
I'm good, brother. It sounds like we're saving the patriarch for last here, but that sounds good. It all started with them, and y'all will hear his accent in a minute. You just heard a y'all there, which is probably a first on a Patriots fan podcast. We didn't really think about the acronym here because the PTPP probably isn't going to work if this thing takes off. But, we'll come with that later. I'm Andrew. I grew up in North Carolina rooting for the Patriots every Sunday, watching with these two guys. And I think what we're excited to do is just create a space where we can process what it's like to be a fan in this moment, what we're thinking about, what we're seeing, what we anticipate coming next. And I'll be honest with you, the three of us every single Sunday are on a text chain watching every minute of every Patriots game. Those text chains oftentimes are fairly hilarious, maybe some not suitable for work. But we're trying to bring that text chain to life with you all and to have you join us in that fun each week. So here we are. It's good to be with both of you guys, and I'm excited to talk Patriots.
Awesome. Definitely some things we'd have to edit out in the post production on the text thread. So we won't be bringing that to you directly.
Especially when Damian Harris drops the ball at the 9-yard line.
I wasn't going to do this early, but this is for you, Damian, right there. Just going to throw that out there. Get an early sound effect in there. Get us kicked off. So Andrew called you the patriarch, Dad. I'm going to let you handle that. Although patriarch, I mean, that's he didn't call you old. He just said you started the whole thing. So I guess it's a compliment more than anything. But Doug Lakis, and by the way, we totally forgot to give our usernames, if you will, on this really cool sports site that we use. We'll talk about that as well. But Doug Lakis, you started this whole thing off. Your accent's going to sound a lot different than ours, obviously being from North Carolina. But Doug, how are you today?
I'm very well, Mike. Thanks for setting up this podcast and allowing me to spend some time with my sons, and that makes me proud. And Patriot Nation, it's an opportunity for people who aren't professionals, on TV or on the radio to kind of share their opinions, and we have a lot of them. As Andrew said, on Sundays we have a ton of opinions on what's going on, and most of the coaches are wrong on Sunday when we're watching the game. But I am from New England. I grew up in the Boston area. I had season tickets in the late 70s to the Patriots when it was the AFL or NFL was just kind of really starting to kick in and get popular. And it's been a lot of fun to be able to watch the games over the years with you guys and share a lot of exciting moments in recent history with the Patriots. And I look forward to being able to do this with you guys.
Absolutely. We look forward to it also. By the way, I think that may have been the first time in my life I've called you Doug. Kind of awkward. I got to be honest with you. Usually I call you Dad, but I probably will call you Dad for the remainder of the podcast.
I got to cut in for a minute here, though. You gave me a hard time by calling patriarch, and then as I'm watching him talk, Dad, you've got a gray goatee. You're in a rocking chair at the beach where you've retired, and I think you played right into the patriarch moniker there. So
I was kind of playing into the Pate, as in Patriot, not Patriarch.
I see.
But to your point, Andrew, I am at the beach. I do have a gray goatee, and I am retired. So
I said gray. I said gray. Oh, gray. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
all great things. All great things.
Oh man.
Okay.
And all gray things.
That's right.
So, it's funny you say retired. So I'll dig into your past a little bit more. So you're not no, you're not, you haven't been on broadcast TV. You're not I wouldn't say you'd be hired on at a major broadcast network for NFL expertise, but I will call you a football expert, right? Because you retired from how many years of coaching football in high school?
I coached football for 46 years in
Oh,
high
that's
school, and coached a lot of games, saw a lot of things, and was involved in a lot of exciting moments. And basically two of the last 3 years, I was involved in state championship quality play, and it was a lot of fun. And with the pandemic, we had to kind of change things in the spring. My last year, we had to play ball in the spring, which was a difficult situation, but we got through it, and it was a great run. I loved every minute of it, and there are times I miss it. Friday nights I miss it. I don't miss practice every day, that's for sure.
No doubt about that. What were you like in practice, man? I never played. I played football a couple years in high school, but I never played for you. You want to describe, maybe in one word, can you describe yourself, how you were as a coach in practice?
Intense.
All right. How about on the sideline on a Friday night?
Well, it was difficult on Friday night for me because our head coach, who I guess I can mention, Todd Willard, was I kind of spent most of my time trying to keep the reins in on him. So other than dealing with the offensive line when they would come off the field after a series and I would, coach them up, I spent most of my time kind of trying to follow him up and down the sideline to make sure he didn't get out of control.
Yeah, I'm sure there were probably, well, you've told me about many a 15-yard personal foul on Willard coming off the sideline. That's probably happened a few times, I'd imagine, right?
Well, it didn't happen very often, but it happened a couple of times. And then, the last playoff run we had, the last state championship run we had, I was actually in charge of the sideline. He was up in the booth. So I was the guy on the sideline. So,
all right.
Basically I was 6-0 that year, if you want to know the truth.
Well, I do want to know the truth. And I do love you and have always learned a lot about football from you, but these good folks came to talk about the Patriots, not the spring COVID season of North Carolina high school football.
Man,
it is what
but
it
I
is.
will.
Wow.
But the other thing I will add, because these are all Patriots fans joining in, is that when you describe Doug Lake's coaching career, 46 years, offensive line coach, multiple championships, heart and soul of the team. He sounds a lot like somebody you all will know.
Oh, yeah.
And that this team desperately missed last week against the Miami Dolphins.
Who would that be? Andrew?
Dante Scarnecchia.
Scar.
We've got a North Carolina high school version of Scar here.
Is that what we're going to?
Dad, let's hope your teams last Friday blocked a little bit better and had a little bit more success and didn't leave their quarterback out there getting hammered.
That's a big hole that they are trying to fill without Scarnecchia there. I mean, that's league wide, he's known as probably the best offensive line coach, and they refer to him, many, in BSJ refers to him all the time. So, they got a tough thing to fill there.
Just throwing in there, BSJ is a Boston Sports Journal. Courtesy to them, we'll probably use a lot of opinions, a lot of things that we see. Big shout out to Greg Bedard. He does a great job over there with Boston Sports Journal. If you're a Patriots, I gotta be honest with you, and he didn't pay me for this, but if you're a Patriots fan and you're not on Boston Sports Journal, you're not getting the best information. So if I were you, I would jump over there to Boston Sports Journal. It's not just Patriots stuff, by the way. It's Bruins, it's Celtics, it's Red Sox. All of us are fans of those teams as well. And you're going to get literally the best breakdowns. He's got a great podcast as well, and you're going to get the best information over there at Boston Sports Journal. So you may hear a little bit about that. I mean, we are all members of Boston Sports Journal. If you are on Boston Sports Journal and you're listening to this podcast, you'll know me in the comments section as Pat Sox Celts Brews. Andrew, I believe you're Winter Coats. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. And then D Lake is down there using exclamation points all the time in all of his posts, baby. That's right. Right.
Correct.
Dad? A lot of exclamation points in not only in the posts.
That's because I don't post very often. So when I do, I have to make sure everybody sees it.
I don't want your excuses. You text every time you text anything, whether it's to my phone or anything, there's exclamation points all over the place. So if you see a lot of
Okay.
exclamation points, you know who that is. But yeah,
That's
we're
right.
we're here to talk Patriots again. We remember being kids. I tell the story all the time. We remember being kids. Dad, I don't know if this puts you in a bad light, but I mean, we were in the bar on Sunday, what were we, 9 years old, watching the Pats, right? Out in Greensboro, North Carolina. Isn't that right? Weren't we doing that? Or am I
Well, it
making
could
that
have
up?
been. No, you're
Yeah.
not making it
Well,
up.
well, well. Let's be clear. That was back when Sunday ticket was a lot harder to get, and the Patriots were never on national
Never.
TV because they were not very good. And so the only way we could watch games was to go to the sports bar, get a chicken finger basket
Oh,
and a
yeah.
Dr. Pepper, and sit for a few hours. And I'll tell you what, to this day, it is one of the reasons I still love Sundays and can't imagine a Sunday without watching the Patriots play.
Absolutely.
And I,
Go ahead, Dad.
I will add that, as Andrew said, it was difficult to find I had to call around to find places that would show the Patriots. So that's how far we've come.
I was thinking about this the other day. It's interesting, and not to go off on a tangent, but now that we have it made, right? Like if you think about the way that our viewing experience is now, and how we get to watch football, right? We have the red zone. You have all these fantasy sites out there. You have all this information. Where I laugh and I think, man, back in our day, to your point, it was a chicken finger basket of Dr. Pepper, or if the Patriots were on and you could find a way to watch them at home, that was like the one game you watched, right? You had two games on. You had the CBS and you had the Fox game, and you turn those on. It wasn't like now where you had all this access. Nowadays, I mean, I can watch every game imaginable. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there listening that know what that's like. One more point we would love, and we'll just throw this out there as kind of a cheap plug, but we would love. This is a fan podcast, right? We're not the only three fans in the New England Patriots. We're just three fans that are related that love the team. We would love to have more people. So if you're on Boston Sports Journal, we're on another site, and you come to this and you want to be on the show, we have the ability to do that, to get you on here. And we want the voice of the fan, of the Patriots fan, to be loud and proud and heard. And again, this isn't for experts. This is just the Pats Tailgate Party podcast, right? So we're bringing it to you so you can have the voice of the fan to make sure that everybody out there gets their voice. And we're just going to have a whole lot of fun. So let's kick it into what happened last week. And I think it would go without saying. I've played it once before. Dad's face says it all down there, but a big one of these for that performance last week. I really don't think that that's the performance that we're used to seeing or thought we would see based on what we saw in the offseason with the Patriots. A grueling and just a brutal 17-16 loss at home in week 1 against the Miami Dolphins. Any quick takeaways, fellas, when it comes to that game? I mean, there's so many things that we can pull apart with it, but it was frustrating, obviously, for sure. But any individual plays or stats that really stand out to you?
Well, you played that sound effect, which made me think of The Price is Right, which made me think of Bob Barker, which is exactly how I felt. With about 3 minutes to go on the clock, like Bob Barker had punched me in the face, like in Happy Gilmore. It was, I mean, look, I sat there and watched all day and was blown away by Mac Jones. I mean, I don't think there's any way you could have watched that game and not thought, all right, we might have something here. This guy can play. He's got moxie. Is honestly what you're watching. There were moments where I forgot he was in his first ever NFL start. But I think the other big takeaway, while I was excited and enthusiastic about that, the thing that hit me on Sunday and that I've been working through and thinking about all week is like, I think that might have been the only part of that game that reminded me anything of the Patriots and the Patriot way.
No doubt.
There was not a lot else there that I thought like, oh, I recognize that. But maybe I do recognize that from last year and the second half of the year before. But yeah, a lot of conflicting thoughts and feelings. But ultimately, on Sunday afternoon, I was not a happy camper.
No,
I think
go ahead, Dan.
it goes back, as Andrew just said, it goes back to actually the Miami game 2 years ago when they were playing for home field advantage and lost and gave up a 75-yard drive on the last drive of the game. Well, I was seeing so much of the same thing on Sunday. I mean, Miami had 2 unbelievable drives to start the game, to start the second half, and then scored at the end of the first half. So basically, the Patriots never stopped them when it counted.
What?
And then the Patriot red zone offense I'd seen before. and it wasn't good.
Well, I think the interesting thing, I think you guys bring up a lot of great points. So, those two drives that started the game, started the half, super easy. If I watch another read option slant get completed the way that I saw in that game for the rest of the season, I'm going to be beside myself. First of all, literally, I don't know. It's basic football to be. I know I have no doubt. Again, I'm not out there. I'm not in the practice field, but I feel like that's something that they're going to prepare for. They should have prepared for, knowing that Tua is the quarterback, and that's a staple play that the Dolphins have run. The other thing that really stuck out to me, Andrew, you brought it up with the turnovers. Miami won the turnover battle 2-1. That's a big proponent of the game. The really frustrating part about that, if you look at time of possession, New England had the ball for 36 minutes, 43 seconds. The Dolphins had the ball for 23 minutes, 17 seconds. You have got if you're gonna hold the ball like that, you got to play mistake-free football. At least the way that I see it. You are cutting you're putting the line so thin that if you're going to hold the ball and you're going to be conservative, Dad, you talked about it in the red zone, and you can't just kick field goals, and you certainly got to get into the paint, and you can't turn the ball over, because the minute that happens, your margin for error is so thin, and look what happens. You lose a tight game.
Well, they basically had 3 drives of 14 plays, the Patriots did. And the other team is banking on the fact that you can't drive consistently for 14 plays and put the ball in the end zone. Something's going to happen in the midst of that 14 play drive, and it happened twice.
Yep.
So when you get the ball back now, like you said, Mike, the game's a whole lot shorter. You're losing possessions.
Well, what you just said, I remember, and sounds like the Patriot way. We're going to make a team drive 14 play drives, knowing that at some point they will make a mistake. I watched that for 20 years, and it worked out pretty well. But that also, to your point, Mike, means you have to, you don't have to be perfect in your execution, but you got to be really good. And I think the point you made is one that hadn't really dawned on me until this point. It's almost like efficiency stats in basketball. When you look at the NBA or NCAA, the more possessions you have, a team that picks up the speed, picks up the pace, they can handle mistakes because you're getting more bites of the apple. If you're a slow paced team and you're going to take all the time, you're going to have limited possessions, and so you better make every single one count.
Absolutely. And the other thing is the other thing that stuck out to me is, and I equate the end of a game, and I'm not dogging college or high school football, but at the end of a game, when you have 3 timeouts and you have a 2-minute warning, and you've handled the clock well, and a team has the ball, it is rare, and I don't have stats to back this up. Again, I'm just a fan. But the reality is I feel like more often than not, if I know that I got to get 3 plays and I got to stop an offense on 3 plays, that I can get my offense back onto the field. Now, in high school and in college, I watch teams all the time, because some of those fronts and front sevens in college specifically aren't as good as the other team, and you got better players on the other side. They're going to push them around. But in the NFL, you're talking about top 1% of players. Any team should be able to step up and stop somebody for 10 yards and get the ball back with a chance down a point to kick a field goal and win the game. And I was
worse than that.
What's that?
It's worse than that. It was first and 15 from the 4.
Yeah.
So you have the advantage of them not wanting to throw out their own end zone, and they're 5 yards behind the sticks before you even start the first play. Your statistical odds of getting a stop there go up exponentially just on those 5 yards run.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, Dad, as a coach, again, they don't, people don't come on here to listen to high school stuff, but come on. As a coach, Dad, I want your perspective on the opposite side. I want your perspective on the offensive side in that instance. So I just told you that I feel like an NFL team, especially to Andrew's point, you're back 4 yards, the chains are behind you. You should be able to get a stop there, which is why nowadays a lot of teams throw on 2nd down, or they try to do something to misdirect the offense, right? So it's not just run it 3 times and punt. But I want to know from the offensive side, are you confident if you are the Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator there, are you confident you're going to get 14 yards in that instance?
Well, I think the Miami Dolphins answered that question when they threw the slant right off the rip and got 15 yards? Or I mean, they knew they had to do something. To your point, Mike, the offense knows they've got to do something to move the ball, or the Patriots are going to get the ball at midfield or better with what, a minute and a half, minute 45 to go.
Yeah.
And all I need is a field goal to win the game. So from an offensive standpoint, I've got to figure something out. If I just want to run 3 plays into the line straight ahead and I'm going to punt the ball, I got to think my defense somehow is going to stop a field goal.
Right.
I've never coached high school football, but I can tell you they probably felt really good looking at those picture sheets they hold after watching that play work multiple times earlier in the game.
Oh.
They felt even better when they looked out there and saw Jalen Mills was the one who was going to be covering and the Johnson Jones was on the field. And then they felt freaking great when they saw Mills use the wrong technique and open up so that Devontae Parker, he should have gotten him a Barca Lounger and a glass of sweet tea because there was no way he was going to make life hard for him.
I mean,
not to mention, Devontae Parker's pretty good.
He's real good. We couldn't cover Waddle either. So he's a rookie, by the way. It's first NFL game. He was uncoverable out there also.
Well,
we got issues in the back end,
Well, to Andrew's point, though, I think that there's some, and again, we're not in the room every day, but there's some issues with personnel as the game went on. And I think, a big concern of mine when I saw Winovich out there all game long, and of course he's okay, he's fine. But the guy on the other side, Yushi, he had an unbelievable play coming off the edge, and the guy never played much. And I just was kind of at a loss for words as to what they were doing, and they gave up the edge a bunch of times. They didn't set the edge, and that's all stuff that we've seen. Well, we saw a year ago on a regular basis.
That's for sure. I just so they don't kick us off there. It's Uche, Dad. I think it's Uche is what you were looking for, not Ushi. I don't know what that is.
That's what I said.
No, Uche.
55 on the defense.
Okay, all right, that'll work. You just speaking numbers. That's all right.
That's right.
That's what they do in high school.
So I've got a question for you guys.
Okay.
We've been breaking down the game. We promised we wouldn't do that because you can go for your analysis elsewhere. I have a question for y'all that I noticed on Sunday, and it's a feeling I don't want to have, and I'm a little disappointed I have as a Patriots fan. Throughout the Brady era, and look, we were spoiled. We had the best quarterback of all time. It's the only time in my life as a fan I've had supreme confidence no matter what the situation. But I used to watch every Patriots game for almost 2 decades, knowing if we need a drive, I've got total faith it's about to happen. Good things are about to happen. Last year was the first time I started to be like, ooh, good things are not happening. There's the fumble against Buffalo. There's, the times we got down there and couldn't finish the drive. We're going to stop. I realized on Sunday, no matter how great Mac Jones was playing, the whole time I just had this like albatross hanging over my head where I'm like, okay, when's the mistake coming? And it's how every other team has watched their team, or every other fan has watched their team in the NFL for years. But I just noticed it and was like, oh man, I missed the glory days.
Well,
it was so great to just be like, here we go, baby. The time's ours. Go ahead and finish this off, Tom.
I'm glad you said that because my wife, you guys know her, obviously is a huge Cowboys fan. And so we watch the Cowboys and the Patriots every week. And this isn't a Cowboys podcast. But literally, I watch the agony and that same doubt that you're talking about, Andrew, from her every time they play. And I know it's coming too because that's what they've done since, past the early 90s. They just make the mistake. The Tony Romo field goal. I mean, just you can think of a million times, but it never happened to us. And I almost had this like elitist mindset when I was watching those games of like, oh, well, that's just what the Cowboys and other teams do. You give us the ball back, to your point, with a minute 30 left. We got the guy back there, number 12, and he's going to take us down the field. We're going to get the defensive stop. And now there's a doubt there. There's an underlying doubt there. And every time, and it's not just at the end of the game, it's throughout the entire game. I'm thinking to myself, are we going to get a grenade penalty? Are we going to hold? I mean, there were so many penalties in that game that blew up the offense and moved us behind the chains. That you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And listen, if any other fan from any other team is listening, they're going to turn it off right now because they're going to go, these guys don't know. They have no idea what it was like for the last 20 years. They've been sitting in heaven for 20 years, football heaven. So I think it's a great point. Well,
they made, as you said, they made enough mistakes in different facets of the game Sunday to give us a lack of confidence to show its head. So
no doubt,
um,
no doubt. But
we'll see
I think
what happens this week.
I think speaking of this week, we got the Jets this week, and I think that people think this is a get right spot for the Patriots. It's at the Jets, so we've seen in the past. Now they got a rookie quarterback, same as we do. I would argue we have a better rookie quarterback, but I could make a decent argument that he might be the second best rookie quarterback. You hear Belichick talking about him having an explosive arm, and the Jets up front are really good. What are you guys' early thoughts on the game with a few minutes left here to go on the podcast? What do you guys think? I mean, what do you think's coming? We talked about last week. Hopefully the mistakes can be corrected. It looks like there's a lot of learning from this team, and they got to gel together with all the acquisitions they had. But do you guys think this is a get right spot this week?
Well, I think there's some key players that are going to have to play a whole lot better, and they're not all young guys.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the veterans are going to have to come out and really improve on the performance of last week, which I really think some of them will do that. The rookie quarterback historically against Belichick has not fared very well. Hopefully, that's the same kind of situation that occurs this week. I think the Patriots will be better this week. They're going to have to take care of some of the mistakes, and if they can do that, I think you'll see a better result.
Yeah, I mean, I think something you hit on there, Dad, that occurs to me is like it's time to reset expectations. Like that feeling of, okay, we got this. Here's how this is going to go. I know we're going to pull this out. It's just gone. Maybe it comes back. Maybe Mac Jones.
That's sad. That's sad, by the way. That's sad.
Is the guy, but I think I have to do it as a fan, because if not, I'm just getting irritated, and frustrated, as opposed to being able to appreciate like the team kind of reforming itself, if you will, growing and building. But I mean, that's my take on this game. I don't think the Dolphins beat the Patriots last week. The Patriots beat the Patriots. So, is it going to be hard to take a rookie quarterback on the road, first road game in the NFL against a pretty stout defensive line? Yes. But if the Patriots get better and improve in the areas they struggled in last week, penalties, blocking, executing simple plays, stopping the run, I don't think they'll have a problem this week. I actually think the offense, they'll probably take a few more chances. There were plays there for Mac down the field last week, and I think we can have a much better outcome, and honestly something that we can start to get excited about moving into week 3. But yeah, I don't know if I'd put my wager there.
No, yeah, time out. Come on. Like, let's be real, man. There's problems in the back end of that defense. All right. I know he's a rookie quarterback, but Wilson's going to give us trouble back there. I listen, this isn't the Patriots. Andrew, you said it. This isn't the Patriots from the last 20 years. I think McDaniel's going to open up the playbook. I think Mac's great. I think that there's plays to be had there, but the reality is call me cynical. I think that the over-under, the total on this game of 42 is crazy. I think it's an easy bet to take the over. I think there's going to be a lot of yards and I think points, but I think the ball is going to be moved. Usually I see a 42-point over, by the way, and I think like old Ravens Steelers games 9-7. No. I think the ball's going to move. They struggle sometimes with quarterbacks that move around back there, and I think you're going to see a similar thing here. And I think, as sad as it is to say, I think from maybe it was the IPAs last weekend, but I haven't been so mad in so long that felt like we lost a playoff game last week. Well, and I could be overreacting. I don't know, but I was pissed.
But to build on Andrew's point of expectations, I know, and of course you guys know that I'm Mr. Pessimist before the game starts.
Geez.
Okay,
you're the worst. You're the worst.
Easy.
You talk. No. Hold on a minute. Hold on. You said no. Hold on. You said a minute into the game. You send it after the first drive. You want me to read the text? You want me to read it? I'm pretty sure it was in the first quarter. No, I got it. In the first quarter. No. In the first quarter. We get a text, the group text, and I read it to Addie, and she's like, "Your dad, man." And it says, "They ain't winning today!" ! You were right, by the way.
Okay, at the end of the day,
You were right.
at the end of the day,
Yeah,
It was 7-0, Dad. It was 7-0.
I guess. Yeah, but
yeah.
understand,
A blind
hold
squirrel,
on.
a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a
No,
while. I mean, let's count the times that he's made that exact same pick.
The worst.
While Tom Brady was the quarterback.
The worst.
every
and
week,
we came back
every
and
week,
won games.
The worst.
every week. But understand that what showed its ugly head last week, the first drive, was stuff we'd seen consistently for a year ago now. That's how I make that statement. And unfortunately, I don't have the confidence of the past that they're going to fix that.
Yep.
I mean, going into the game last week, you can't tell me that you were overly confident about the product was going to be on the field, because no one knew. Some of the stars are going to have to play like stars, and that didn't happen last Sunday.
I mean, there's a lot. Yeah. So I want to back up here. You were saying something. You said something about your buddies, by the way. Just a funny thing about.
Oh yeah, they have a group text chain going about the Red Sox, and of course, I'm Mr. Gloom and Doom in that too. So it's not just with you guys.
So wait a minute. They get it every day, huh? That sounds awful. We get it once a week. They get it every day because the Red Sox play pretty much every day.
I don't get involved every day, but kind of a couple times a week.
Dad, maybe you can start sending Mike and I a weather report each morning and get something like this.
Well, down here it's nice.
It's sunny out to start the day, but don't get too used to it. I'm sure the rain is going to come at some point.
It's going to come.
Yeah, wait a minute. It'll change.
Oh, it's going to come. The best part is, I'm telling you, first quarter, first drive. It's going to be a long. It's going to be a long day. Is the first one, and then comes we ain't winning today.
Check the timestamp. It might have been after the coin toss.
No, it was after 10 plays.
Dad knows exactly when it was.
Because it only took him 10 plays to score.
He's working from a script over there. He's going through the opening script.
I like it.
No, I mean, I think it all goes back to the resetting expectations. And I don't know, from a fan perspective, I mean, I was irritated on Sunday. I really did think we were going to have a great week. I don't really know why. Looking back, that was probably a little wishful thinking.
We spent a lot of money, man. Come on, you would hope you'd have a great week.
But I mean, we've been hearing about all off season that look at the Tampa Bay Bucks from last year, with the greatest quarterback of all time. They're 7-5. They were not gelling. They had a couple weeks that really didn't look good, and then in week 13 or 14, they turned the corner and they became the team. And we don't even need the Bucks from last season. Like, as a Patriots fan, I think back to 2001, we hadn't won a thing. We, had really struggled ever since making the Super Bowl in the mid '90s. Bledsoe gets hurt. Brady comes in. We go to 0-2. And by the way, I thought we should have beat the Bengals in that game in week 1 of 01. I was irritated.
Man,
same feeling.
Way back.
And
love it.
Well, and then it took us time. We were 5-5 against the Rams and had that rough game, and then we went on our own run. So it takes teams with new players and kind of transcendent quarterbacks time to gel. So I think resetting expectations is probably the best thing as a fan, but it's just hard. I mean, I'm used to.
Well, it's frustrating
seeing us roll the ball out there and take it down the field and win the game.
Hold on a minute. Let's call it what it is too, and then we'll move on. I want to maybe do some fan predictions for the game. That'll be fun because we're not experts, so it'll be fun to see if we're right or wrong next week. But here's the thing. You know why it's frustrating right now to lose a game like that? Because you have a team like the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. And when you have a team like the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC who are probably going to win 14 games, if not 15 games, because that's just, they got the best quarterback currently, not of all time, the best talented quarterback, in my opinion, right now in the NFL, and just a crazy talent all over the place. A team like that, maybe we can make the playoffs. Maybe we can win the division. But if we're trying to get a bye or trying to get deep in the playoffs, because that's how the Patriots have won all their Super Bowls or a lot of their Super Bowls, you can't lose a game like that last week. And that's so frustrating as a fan, right? It's so frustrating to put out,
I push on that a little bit. I think your formula for the Patriots having a phenomenal season is correct. The defense becomes shut down. Mac is a game changer who can make big plays when needed most. and the talent starts to gel on the offensive and defensive side of the field. However, I think we're still going to have to be the underdog, like 01, where we go in and we beat somebody
Yeah.
on their field. And so, you know, the difference between losing a game here or there, going 11-6, 10-7, and making the playoffs, I'm not worried about that. I think it was more just I want him to be better faster. Like
I agree.
and particularly for Mac. I mean, he played a great game last week. He did everything you'd ask. I know we talked about this on the text chain. He looks way more like Peyton Manning than Tom Brady one night.
He looks just
crazy,
like Peyton Manning. It's crazy.
If you go watch some more YouTube clips at 18 and how he slung it back there, his mannerisms, his body movement, and by the way,
it's uncanny. It's uncanny.
If he turns out like Peyton Manning, he'll be like the second greatest quarterback of all time. So
Yep.
we'll take it.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I just hate it for Mac.
Does it bother you guys that watching the game last Sunday? Once again, we don't see any kind of downfield threat.
Yeah, it bothers me. And there's threats out there, by the way. I mean, go sign John Brown. Seriously. I mean, he can't run a go route for you every now and then. I mean, they love to run that stuff. Mac can get it there.
Hence the 14 play drives.
Yeah, go get somebody. And Aguilar was supposed to be that guy, and he still may be. He can move. But I mean, you got guys out there. You got who Kenny Stills is still out there in the market. There's plenty of guys out there that they could go pick up. But I mean, they do some stuff. I mean, the way they handle their roster, that's it's Bill's world, man. So they clearly right now don't think they need that. But yeah, it does bother me that they don't have a downfield threat, and everything is matriculating slowly the ball down the field. That goes back to my Chiefs point. You see that the Chiefs can do it when they need to, but guess what? They can also do. They can take the top off 4 times when you're up by 21 and then beat you. And that's what football is nowadays. It's not, and again, I'm just a fan. I'd like to see a little bit more excitement there on the field, but that's just me. So, all right, we got to wrap it up here. Let's kick it into some predictions. This is fan talk, so we're not experts here, but I have some thoughts on what I think the point total is going to be in the game. Last I checked, and this may have been updated, but I believe it's a 5.5 point spread. I think New England's favored by 5.5 on the road, and I think that it's a 42 point under. So we'll just go around. Maybe we'll tally this up, and we can get your thoughts too, and see what you guys' predictions are. But we can tally up our predictions. And Andrew, I'm gonna kick it to you first. What's your prediction for the game?
Yeah, I think I expect him to execute better. I would imagine Belichick took a more active role this week in practice. But I also think the back end issues we have on defense are going to show up. Zach Wilson will, with his legs and his arm, make some plays. But the good news is I actually think Mac's going to make more plays too. Every single instance of Mac Jones this offseason has been from one practice to the next, one game to the next, whatever it is, he gets better. So he's going to be better. He won't leave as many points on the field. I think we win, and a little bit more of a shootout than most folks would expect. So I'll go with like 27-21 Patriots win.
Oh, Pat's cover, 27-21. Dad, how about you?
I think that McDaniels will be a little bit more open in calling plays this week for Mac Jones. I think they were a little bit too conservative, and rightly so, probably in his first game. I think the Patriots win. I think they win 28-17.
Whoa, 28-17. All right, so I'm doing some quick math. 28-17. That goes over. Andrew, you go over. And I'm gonna stick with you guys on that. I'm gonna say that definitely I think it's gonna be a shootout. Again, we're not here to give you daily fantasy football advice, but maybe a sneaky stack out there would be this game if you are playing any of those sites. I think you're gonna have a big game from Mac, and I also think you're gonna have a big game from some of the Jets guys on the back end, because I think we right now that defense has just got to come together better than it is. I don't think the Patriots cover. I think Jets are a good bet on maybe not in the money line, but a good bet on the road as a road dog, especially if it's 5.5. It'll probably kick up to 6, but I do think that it goes over. So I would take something like a 28-24, a game like that, a tight game that's a higher scoring game, literally a shootout style game. Andrew, more to your point, but whether it's a backdoor cover or whether the Jets just keep it close, maybe even like a 27-24, kick a late field goal or something like that. To win the game. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a nail biter, because I think we said it, and I think a lot of fans feel this way. This team is good. They're talented. They spent a lot of money. They got a great rookie quarterback. I think they drafted well. I think we're all happy with how they drafted this year compared to some recent years past. But I think that takes a little bit of time to gel together, and I don't know if that's going to happen this week, but I do think they move to 1-1 this week after a hard fought win. So final thoughts before we get out of here, fellas. Good episode 1, by the way. Had a good time doing this with you. Nice episode 1, but any final thoughts?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got one offering for anybody listening and tuning in. We'll set the over under at Doug's they're not going to win today text as 108 on Sunday. So see if you think that's going to happen before
Eastern time.
108 or not.
Eastern time.
Yeah, Eastern time. Yeah, so 8 minutes into the game, 2 of which are probably Bud Light commercials. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll give them 6 minutes to decide.
Well, I'll give you anybody who wants to bet on that. I'll give you I'm giving you insider information.
Oh, wow, great.
Go ahead and bet it, because it ain't happening, boys.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. After you've had a few cold ones, we'll see if you remember what you said there.
It's all good. I'll be drinking water up until that point, so don't worry.
Okay, I got you. I see how it is. All right. So, Dad, any final thoughts for you before we get out of here?
No, I just enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun today seeing you guys and doing this with you guys, and look forward to more episodes and maybe some other people joining along with us.
Yeah, I think it'd be great, man. I think there's a lot of cool stuff to come. We got some segments we're thinking about doing back in my day with Dad about when he was, Pats fan back in the day. Maybe some stories when he worked security at Fenway, because that did happen. Maybe some tailgate experiences we've had. I know I've had some experiences out there with my brother at some games that were rough. Possibly adult beverage induced. But anyway. Talking about some fun things. We're going to have some cool segments. And again, Dad, to your point, we'd love to have you guys come along with us. So I think we all mean it when we say go Pats. It was a fun episode 1, and we'll see you next week back here for episode 2.